Hello and welcome to our next episode of Bitcoin for Boomers. We took a little longer than I thought, but Alex has been pretty busy, and we're going to start today with a question from somebody who watched the first episode, whose name is Lori. Lori says, so once you sign up with the crypto firm, say Newton, how does money get transferred from real money to crypto? Once you've established an account, how do you figure out trading? Is this where a broker comes in? Also, algorithms like Bitcoin Revolution that make claims of making lots of cash through auto trades, are these safe?
Okay,
you can break it down however you like.
It seems like, the way I understand it, a three-part question. One is, how do you get money from fiat, which what she's referring to as real dollars, to crypto? So that's part one. Part one is, it really depends on the platform you're going to use. If you use one of the main exchanges, like for example Binance.com or Crypto.com or Gemini, one of the big exchanges, there's several ways to do it. Or Coinbase, for example, which I would not use. The main one, if you're sending larger sums, like that justify a wire fee, they just about all accept wire fees as long as it's from your own bank account with your name to your newly created account with that firm. So that's one way. The other way, if you're sending smaller ones, and in Canada, for example, you can do it via e-transfer or credit card. In the US, I don't think you guys have e-transfer, but you have credit card, or some few of them like Coinbase accept PayPal. I would say if it's a small amount, the simplest way is going to be probably just credit cards, but you're going to have a fee percent. If it's a large amount, you want to do wire transfer. But it really depends on which platform you use.
So broker's not necessary in all of this. You can do it completely on your own.
Well, I think that goes to part two of the question, but in crypto, there are brokerages, but really 95% of the platforms you're going to use are actually exchanges. They're not brokerages like you would think of for trading stocks. It's not the same thing. You open your account, you do your what's called KYC, know your customer. That's just giving your ID, where do you live, and answering a few simple questions. And then you can use the account pretty quickly. But it's not a brokerage, it's just an exchange. So you're able to buy, depending on the exchange itself, maybe 50 to 150 different coins. Some of them that are more, some of the more, I don't know, the smaller exchanges, let's call them, can get even more coins than that, like a few hundred of them. And some of the more established ones will only do the blue chip coins, so you only have access to the main coins. But it's not a brokerage, you trade yourself, so you choose what you're going to buy. If you deposit fiat in there, dollars, you just exchange from dollars to that, and you can choose. You don't have to buy an entire Bitcoin, you don't have to buy an entire Ethereum. You can say, I want to buy 0.1, or I want to buy $100 worth, or it's very simple, and most of them are very intuitive, and the vast majority aren't apps on your phone or whatever.
And
so.
Can you do this in any currency?
Not any currency, but any major currency, yeah, for sure. They'll accept, any major currency will be accepted at any half-decent exchange.
So the amount of Bitcoin that you can actually purchase will depend on the value of that fiat currency at that time.
Yeah, a Bitcoin, for example, if you were going to buy Bitcoin in Swiss francs or Canadian dollars or US dollars, each one obviously has its own price. Just like if you were going to buy US dollars, it would cost you a different amount of Canadian dollars versus Australian dollars. So depending on your currency, the value of Bitcoin will, the cost of buying the Bitcoin will be based in your currency.
Once you have it then on the app, let's say the one like I use, Crypto.com, what do you do with it once it's in there? You're watching it go up and down and change in value, but what's the best thing to do with it? Just leave it there?
No, so my recommendation is, once you've got an amount that you're happy with, that you would consider substantial, you would transfer it off into what's called a cold wallet. And the cold wallet is, first of all, when you have your Bitcoin on an exchange, all you have is an IOU, just like at your bank. When you deposit your money in your bank, all you have is an IOU. You don't have money in there. They have no obligation, technically, to pay it back to you. It's lent out to 100 different parties. It doesn't exist. If enough people went to the bank to pull their money out, it just wouldn't be there. So the same thing applies to a crypto exchange, except that they actually do have the crypto, but you don't have full control of it. If your government is like the Canadians and they say, wait a second, that guy's blacklisted, let's freeze his account, okay, they might do it. They might, depending on the exchange, they might listen to that direction. So, not what they say is the saying is not your keys, not your coins. And what that means is you take your Bitcoin once you get enough of it and you send it to your cold wallet, which is like typically a little USB device, but there's many different iterations of it. And when you have that, you'll have what's called a seed phrase of 12 or 24 words, and nobody anywhere can access your Bitcoin but the person with those 12 or 24 seed words, which should only be you. And at that point, you're 100% protected.
And that's a chain of words that cannot be recovered should you forget what they are.
Yeah, so when it comes to crypto, holding your coins on an exchange is kind of like a simplified, streamlined version that comes with some extra risk. But when you put it on your own wallet, responsibility is 100% your own. And if you lose those 12 words, seed phrase, you're out of luck.
Mm-hmm.
There's no recovering it. There's nobody to call. There's only a software that doesn't care who you are or what you are or how much you lost.
And so what will happen to that money in the event that, say, the owner does forget the passwords and they're forever lost? Where does that money go? Where does
Gone
that
forever.
Bitcoin go?
It's still there. It's still in that wallet, but it can't be accessed because you don't have the seed phrase.
Yeah, so I guess the moral of that story is once you've taken these steps to invest and transfer, you got to make sure that you put those chain words at a very safe place.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother discussion that I can go through at some point because before you set up a cold wallet, you need to know some basic steps, which would only take like 10 minutes to learn, but you need to know them before you do it because the security of your passphrase and your device itself is very important. And backing up your seed phrase somewhere is extremely important. Not putting it in the wrong place, like online, anywhere in the cloud, because you don't want to get hacked and then someone can access your money. Those are all important security measures.
So maybe that can be something for a future episode, or if you end up branching out on your own channel, and I will keep everybody here posted about that, then a topic for future discussion. Maybe we can end today's episode with the last part of the question from Lori. What does Lori mean by algorithms like Bitcoin Revolution that make claims of making lots of cash through auto trades? Are these safe? He asked.
I wouldn't touch those with a 10-foot pole. I don't know this one in particular, so I won't comment on that. But there are all kinds. If you think there's a lot of scams in the regular world, there is 10 times as many in the crypto world. And when it comes to crypto, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme like many people think it is. It's a way to protect your wealth. And what you want to do is be, first of all, especially when you start, you want to be conservative and careful. You don't want to jump into any of these things that you don't understand unless you really understand how they're using it, that they've got a good reputation. I wouldn't touch it. And once you get deeper into the woods in crypto, there are all kinds of very interesting ways to earn money. Bitcoin is to preserve your money, not to earn money. And then there's all kinds of ways when you get deeper into it to earn money, which you then put into Bitcoin to preserve. And that's where a lot of understanding is needed, but where there's tons of opportunity because nobody understands it. And there's also no gatekeepers. Like in traditional finance, you have all kinds of regulations and brokerages and accreditation rules. Those don't exist in crypto. In crypto, they don't even know your name. You create yourself a wallet. You're pseudonymous. Nobody knows who you are, where you are, what you do, and you have 100% access to all these things as long as you're careful.
Great. Well, it sounds like you're giving everybody the basics for what they need to know to get started. So keep those questions coming and stay tuned for future episodes when we get some questions that Alex has an opportunity to look at. We'll reconvene either here on this channel or I will let you know where he's at so you can find him on your own. So thanks for today, Alex.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right.